This Veterans Day, we're taking a closer look at one company turning gratitude into action. Athletic apparel brand Born Primitive is donating 100% of online sales from November 7th to 11th to help erase up to $25 million in medical debt for over 10,000 veterans. Join us now to talk all about that and much more is Bear Handlon. He's founder and CEO of Born Primitive. Bear, good morning. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks for having me, JD.
What would you say is the mission behind the brand Born Primitive?
We're a veteran-founded business. I was active duty for the first 8 years that we've been around, and we've always wanted to leverage the platform to do some good. In the early days, of course, that was slightly less significant as far as the financial impact we were able to have. But as the brand has grown, we've tried to raise the bar on what that could be. So this year's will be our biggest impact to the veteran community to date. We're trying to pay off up to $25 million of veteran medical bills. This is the sequel of what we did last year. We did this last year. We were able to do 11 million in medical debt. It was over 5,800 veterans were debt free by Christmas. So I actually brought Black Rifle Coffee into the mix. They're doing it with us. We want to more than double the impact of last year. So from now until midnight tomorrow, which is Veterans Day, we're going to try to get to that goal. We kicked this off on Friday. We're getting some good momentum. So I think we'll hit the number. Obviously, every little bit helps. So when people come out and shop the cause, 100% of the profits from our website as well as Black Rifle's website will go towards it. So there's no strings attached, no catch. Hopefully, it'll give people a guilt-free reason to do some shopping before the holidays.
Love that. Congratulations. And Bear, first and foremost, thank you, of course, for your service to this country. Before we talk a little bit more about the brand, given your own experience in active duty, the work you still do with veterans, what is one reality of being a veteran in the United States that you would want more non-veteran citizens to understand and really appreciate this Veterans Day?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that when you leave the service, you lose a big sense of purpose, or at least some can, right? And that can leave a big void in their life. And there's something about being in the military. You always know when what the next thing's going to be. You always know what the next timeline is, and there's incredible structure to that. And you're always around like-minded people that you have that shared purpose. So when you get out of the military, a lot of people can be a little lost because you lose that structure. You're not around all your friends every day. And you're thrown into this completely different workspace, and some people have no idea what they want to do when they get out, right? So you add that to it, and it can be a hard adjustment for a lot of people. And with this, adding financial distress into the mix, you can imagine how that presents a very difficult situation for a lot of people. So that's big reason why we want to be supporting veterans every year, and why medical debt was really important to me, because no one deliberately incurs medical debt. You don't wake up one day and decide, that someone's going to run a red light and T-bone you driving to work, and all of a sudden you got a $50,000 bill you can't afford. So that's why it really resonates with me, and hopefully this will go a long way in helping out a lot of people.
Bear, how did your service shape your leadership style?
I was in the SEAL teams. It was a pretty intense environment, but I learned a lot about just maintaining the standard. When you enter a community like that, the guys that have gone before you have set a standard, and they do a really good job of creating an environment where you have to adhere to the standard, meet it, exceed it, or you're not going to be around very long. So I really enjoyed that part of it. It wasn't a popularity contest. It was a merit-based organization, and I think we need a little bit more of that in our current society.
What have been among the hardest parts, the biggest challenges to building this brand?
I think the biggest challenge is, the co-founder Mallory and I were building it while I was active duty with no institutional capital. The brands that we were competing with, some have raised more than $100 million, and we haven't raised a dime. So to be toe to toe with some of those brands now, 11 years later, and being able to do things like this where, we'd be paying off up to $25 million in medical bills. I'm really proud of that, but we had to be scrappy. We had to be profitable. A lot of the brands we were chasing were only chasing top line revenue, but we're bleeding millions of dollars every year on the bottom line. And we just didn't have the luxury to do that. Because it was all bootstrapped. We were funding the next inventory purchase. So I'm proud of that. We've always had a little chip on our shoulder, and we've had to be scrappier than the rest of them, and it's worked out.
I always love talking with general founders and people in the business community about sort of a day in the life. What are the apps on your phone? What do you do to, maintain an edge. But for you now being still in the military community, but outside of active duty, I wonder for you, I would ask the question a little differently. How do you stay disciplined outside the military? And talk to me a little bit about still what that sort of day to day looks like for you. I'd imagine after your years in service, you're still after it in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, well, I mean, the basics, have good nutrition. I get my meals delivered every week by a dietitian that balances all my macros. Hit the gym 5 days a week, try to get good sleep. Things like sauna, cold tub, stretching, is a big part of it too. Although you don't have to do that, but it's nothing fancy. But I always, treat it with human performance in mind, because if I do all of those things when I show up for work here, I'm my best self, and that allows me to compete. Even though I'm not competing in football anymore or in the military, I still feel like I'm a competitor. It's just in a different arena now, but I still treat it the exact same way.
What is your advice for other veterans who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs?
Well, be careful what you wish for. I speak to a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs, and I think I tend to give them a very sobering take on what it is to be an entrepreneur. I think they tend to glamorize it and romanticize it, and oh, you'll be your own boss and you'll answer to no one. And we joke you're going to work 80 hours a week, so you don't have to work 40 hours a week. So, really make sure you do your homework. If you're offering a new product or service, make sure that it's actually better than what's out there and it actually is a unique value proposition. If it isn't, you're going to be, in rough shape. And only 8% of businesses actually succeed right now. So keep that in mind. I always tell them it's not a bad thing to necessarily go work for the man. But hey, if you're staring at the ceiling every night and you have this thing that you really want to try, then give it a go. Just be ready to get kicked in the mouth.
So, Barry mentioned the incredible work you're doing wrapped around Veterans Day this year. Give me some sense about the horizon 2026. What is next, you think, for Born Primitive as a brand?
Well, I want to keep raising the bar on our impact. This is the second year we've done this. I already have big ideas of what 2026 might look like. We brought Black Rifle Coffee in this year. I want to look at even bigger organizations that, have a swing an even heavier bat. Maybe organizations like the NFL or the NHL that, have a history of give back. How do we bring them into the mix and amplify this even further? And I am actually working things at Washington right now. I was up there last week, meeting with some lawmakers as well as the VA of, hey, how can we take this case study and use it to actually improve the VA coverage? And those were very good meetings. So I want to hit this on multiple fronts. Aside from that, we have all kinds of awesome products that we're launching in 2026, particularly with our footwear expanding. We've launched into outdoor and tactical and all kinds of other categories that are going really well for us.
Handlon is the founder and CEO of Born Primitive, doing really incredible things with his founded brand in and around Veterans Day. All the best to you and everyone in your community for Veterans Day and beyond. Bear, thanks a lot for being here. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.